What's up, everybody? It's the tag team back again. It's Jigsaw. It's the bell ringer. It's Tony. It's Dave. Win Daily Sports. Little Sunday night for Monday MLB DFS early look, like we always like to do. Today had a fantastic morning with Dave on Sirius. Had a great day with the family outside. I know Dave did as well. Cooked some food up for the fam. But now we're here to cook up some plays. Make sure you give us a follow at Win Daily Sports. Make sure you're hitting the like button, the subscribe button. You know the drill. We consistently do it. But Dave, man, we got 7 games on a Monday night. We did well today. We go 3-1 on Sirius, which is a nice pat on the back as all. You had a nice home run call with Brandon Marsh. We hit a couple FFVPs. I know Miranda hit for me. I know you had an FFVP too went off as well. So we did well today, buddy.
Yeah, and listen, Kevin Gausman, I said it. Take him, and you shook your head. You're like, you sure he had a bad outing? Like,
yeah.
And if there was a few things that pieced in, top player on the board today on the early slate, 39.95, shut down the Yankees 11 Ks over 7 innings. So yeah, we just build it up, and it's just part of those angles that we look at. Obviously, you had some good hits today. I did too. So built some good lineups, got some good payback, especially in double up. So let's keep it rolling into Monday.
It's Monday, man. It's Monday. We're going specifically 7-game slate on DK. Starts at 7 o'clock. We got 7 games, and already off the top, only one pitcher right here, Dave, on this slate that's standing out as the top dog. Obviously, just going by the charts at 10-9, which is Spencer Strider. Again, do we pay off for pitching here?
Yeah, I don't hate it. I really don't hate it. As we kind of, pushed in the walls to a smaller slate. Strider's just been great. And we talked about in his first 3 starts, went 9 Ks, and then he comes back and goes 9 more. 9 every start, 36 to come out of the gates this year. A guy that, burst on the scenes last year, kind of out of nowhere, right? Was a bullpen arm to start, and then they needed him to come in if there are a few injuries. And here he is to stay. And, I just see it happening again. Miami's very high in K rate. I think we're getting at least 9. I mean, I should say at least 8. I'll give him a little margin that he could slip up a little bit, but I think it's worthy to pay up for Strider tomorrow against a Miami Marlins team that strikes out a lot, doesn't have a lot of power.
No, they don't have a tremendous lineup, right? I mean, it's a great spot for Spencer Strider. Exactly what he wants, exactly what you need. And again, I know you're paying 10-9, but for all intents and purposes, that it's money. The investment is well spent. You will get an ROI. Now we go by 1B. Again, it's funny. Me and you did a show last week, and we both said, like, when is this Sonny Gray train going to finally hit the brakes? It still really hasn't hit the brakes yet, but you know what I mean? But he's going to, one of these days, Dave, one of these days is going to happen, and it could happen against these Yankees. It really could. So I'm not sure if I'm going Sonny Gray as my 1B. Are you?
I'm sure I'm not. It kind of did hit a little bit of the brakes last week. I mean, 17 points at 86K range, like 8,600. He barely got 2X, and now sitting here at 93. And I know the Yankees, I talked about them earlier. They're not the 2022 Yankees. If you hopped into Win Daily today, you saw how I broke that down and where they're at in 2023. And that's an MLB article. But yeah, it's not time. Listen, his 0.82 ERA is met with a 2.22 FIP, so about a run and a half higher. And then we look at Sierra, it's almost 4. It's 3.92. So I mean, everything points, it's crazy, the kind of stuff he's been getting lucky with. 92% left on base. 92% guy gets on base. He's staying on there, and that just doesn't happen all season long. I think Yankees can get to him. So I'm off him. I actually take a skip down. I'm off Montgomery too, because I have a little concerns. Like Montgomery, I kind of like his 4.84 ERA is with like a less than 3 FIP, but I like more if I'm going to jump down. San Fran's always a tough place to play, even though, big ballpark. I like Alex Cobb on the other side. I think Cobb can attack that team. I really like what he's come out to this year. Big ground ball guy, big park. I think Cobb's a good player in tomorrow, and that's who I'm looking at as 1B.
I like Alex Cobb. I also think a sneaky play could be Chris Bassett, for Toronto. Just say you're not right. You're not going to get a home run, right? But what you're going to get is 6 steady innings. He's 6 innings steady. And and again, he's about 5 to 6 strikeouts on average. So you know what you're getting with Chris Bassett. I mean, even in a loss against Detroit, he gives
Check
you
out what Yvonne just said.
right.
No, check out the comments.
Oh, am I
Right on cue. Right on. You guys were talking at the same time.
I
I'm
swear.
swearing.
I'm
I'm sorry
telling
to
you.
cut you off, but yeah.
No, it's funny because when I look at it and I'm thinking, I'm like, you look at these and listen, everybody we talk about getting different but how do you not like this? I mean, the White Sox aren't actually balling out right now from
No.
an offensive standpoint, right? Tim Anderson, one of their big bats on the IL. Mancada obviously is still on the IL. So, I mean, you have to look at this as a whole and say, besides Luis Robert, who really is going to beat you with the bat? And Dave's Bassett's been steady.
No, I agree. I think that's a good spot for him. And he's a guy that has history, right? So I really think he's going to rebound and turn it around. Toronto paid good money for him, and I think he's gonna break through soon. And that's a good lineup to attack. Zach Eflin had a good game against them on Sunday. McClanahan had a good one against them on Saturday. So keep attacking the White Sox right now. Look, I'll even go further down the list. I think the bottom two on the slate are both worthy. I think Jose Suarez. I know it sounds crazy, but it's the A's. I mean, and here Suarez has been bad, but his 9.26 ERA is below 6 in FIP. I mean, look, it's still not great, but it's 3.5 runs lower. So, I mean, there could be some value there. And Tommy Henry coming up, making his first start of the year against KC. We know what KC has been and not very good. If they're getting anybody, it's lefties, it's not righties. So, I kind of like both those at the bottom as well.
I like the Henry call. I do because Arizona's been really good. They really have, and I think I love when young arms come up, especially ones that are highly touted. And I think this is a really really good spot, especially as a lefty.
Yeah,
A
and I
good
take
old
that back. He is a lefty. I tried to
yeah,
say he wasn't, but he is. Yeah.
good old left-hander, man.
Yep.
Like I love it. And again, how ironic is it, right? Mad Bum gets released, and here he
Yeah.
comes a new young lefty
Yep.
coming to hopefully take his spot. So I do like that. I do like that call a lot. Now, talking about it from the bats perspective, what are these teams, in your opinion, that we're looking to stack here? Is there? I mean, again, it's not a huge slate, but there's definitely some very formidable lineups out there.
Yeah. I mean, we got to at least entertain the Angels again. Team that's, at times really popped up and done well for us. Even today, like it was like kind of a weird day for them, but they still went back to back to back, having 3 in a row and Trout and Ohtani in the mix. So, Angels, I think, are very valid going against the Oakland A's and Ken Waldichuk. And I'll tell you, I'm willing to go again with the Yankees, but the other team I'm looking at really is Atlanta Braves. Edward Cabrera had some rough outings to start the season, walking everybody against the Mets. He bounced back with 2 recent games against the Phillies and the Giants, but I think the Braves are just that type of team that could really rattle him and get him off his game. So I'm looking at the Braves as one of my top stacks.
It's funny. All I'm going to tell you is, I like Atlanta, but for me, for my money, again, until Lance Lynn shows
I
me.
love it. I left that for you.
Yeah, you gave me you gave me the layup, man.
Yeah.
I was hoping you were going to leave for me because listen, Lance Lynn is he's nothing right now.
No.
I remember wanting him for the Philadelphia Phillies back the day before he went to when he was in Texas, right? I'm like, listen, he still can't find the version of himself that we're used to, and this Toronto lineup has been smoking hot. And you can really, really get a solid stack here, like we always say, without breaking the bank. If you take one, Dave, out of those 3 guys, and those 3 top guys being Vlad, Bichette, and Chapman, again, I would drop the 500, and I would go with Chapman as my
That's
leader
where I
at
go.
5,200.
Yep, I agree. I agree.
I mean, you get a guy like Merrifield who does everything at 3,400. Maybe you go double K in Kiermaier at 2,700. I mean, right there, you get 3 pieces of an intense lineup against a pitcher. And this is what I always look at. Everybody looks at different things. For me, I look at hits because I want to see the contact. And this dude has given up 30 hits. It is like 30 hits, man. Like, it's
in 21
insane.
innings. In 21 innings.
Yes.
And I think 10 more walks on top of that.
Yes, his walks are through the roof.
His
So
whip is like 2. It's just
yeah,
about 2.
it's really bad. I mean, listen, I get it. Like he had one start against Minnesota where he struck out 10, but he still gave up 7 hits. He still gave up 2 home runs. He didn't walk anybody, and he still gave up 3 runs. So it's right there for me. So until he proves that he is the Lance Lynn of 4 years ago, I'm going to attack him every time.
Yeah, I'd even say the Lance Lynn at the end of last year. He had some good quality starts for the last 2 months. He ain't that this year, so I like it. Like it a lot. And Toronto had a nice little they were shut down by Schmidt for a little while today against the Yankees, but they burst out and got 3 off them with back-to-back homers and eventually closed out that series for the first series loss for the Yankees this year. So it's a Toronto team that's really blazing. They're good. They're where we thought they'd be. 13-9's a good spot for them.
Yeah, I think it really is. Now, do you see any other value on this board? I know it's only 7 games. We kind of touched on a lot, but before we get to any kind of FFVPs, any kind of values from the bats?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm going to look in Milwaukee a little bit. And we talked about that earlier, where Adames gets you a little bit of high salary, but you can sit there and pluck a couple. And Brian Anderson had 2 home runs today for the
Yeah,
Milwaukee Brewers. So I think, putting him in, having a good spot here, he went for 30. I think he could be a nice value bat, 3,400. Now, obviously, he doesn't make our FFBP baseline, but really just above it, I think he could be some value.
yeah, I agree. I do. That Milwaukee lineup, can get you a ton of value. It really can. And again, listen, if I know there are certain players that you just know eventually, they're going to come through. And one of the guys, and obviously this isn't FFVP, but you mentioned the Angels going against Oakland. Anthony Rendon is going to
Yeah,
break out eventually.
he
He just
is.
is. He started off the season pretty well as far as a points perspective. Still no power. The power will come. It will come. I'm telling you, it will come. And maybe tomorrow could be that day. I'm not sure, but eventually you're going to get some really good value for that $4,400 number. But the other guy, man, we mentioned him today, on our series show is Joey Gallo in Minnesota. And again, I'm not saying that he's going to light the world on fire, but 2 out of the last 5 games, you're talking double digit, like big double digit, 18 and 21 point totals. He didn't do much today. He struck out 4 times the last 2 games. So he's going back to the old Joey Gallo. But again, when you're talking about 4,300, you're talking about getting different. It could be a guy at home that possibly could give you some really good benefits against. Again, listen, I don't know, are we all in on a Brito wagon? I'm not sure. All I know is this guy's giving up. He was okay last game, but he's given up 8 runs in basically 4.2 innings. So again, I think it's a good spot.
No, I agree with both those. I think that's good picks. So we're getting into FFBPs
Yeah,
now.
let's go FFVP, man. What
All
we
right,
got?
I'll lead off. Like I almost pulled the plug on this guy today. I just wasn't sure where he'd be in the lineup, but in the late game scenarios. But tomorrow he's definitely going to be in the lineup after today's performance. I'll go Alec Thomas from the Arizona Diamondbacks. Hit another home run today over his last 5 games, averaging 9 DK points, DraftKings points. So well above his value, still standing at 2,300. Has 2 homers in those last 5 games. So really starting to find it. Yes, he bats in the bottom lineup, so that's always a hindrance. But going against Brad Keller and the Kansas City Royals, one of the probably worst pitchers on the slate. His 3 ERA looks more like almost close to 5.5 Sierra. So I expect some hits from Arizona. I think Alec Thomas will get there. So at 2,300, I really like him tomorrow.
I like Alec Thomas, and at 2,300 is a really, really, really a low number. It is. I'm going to go with a guy who I guarantee you that nobody's looking at, possibly because some are crazy as me. But we've already talked about the reason why nobody looks at anybody on the Oakland A's. They just don't. Now, I took Rui. Estoy Ruiz a couple days ago, which I really like, but I'm going to flip the script here, and I'm going to go with the young boy. Okay, I'm going to go with the young boy. Just got called up 4 days ago. My man Jordan. Okay, my man Jordan Diaz. And the reason why I'm going to go with him again, they're going to attack Suarez, who just gives up hit after hit after hit. I'm not
You
expecting
got it.
runs, but Dave, all this kid's done is hit safely in all 4 of his first games. Every single he's at least scored 1 run. He's at least hit 1 RBI. He's already hit a home run, and he's hit safely in 4 games, and he's only struck out twice. So it shows me the young man is disciplined. He's hitting 364 in this early stint right now, and they're going to continue to ride him. This is what Oakland does. They find these gems, man, these young gems. He's coming up, and I like him a lot. 2,700, Jordan Diaz, my FFVP.
Love it. And if you're going to pair him with someone, pair him with Brent Rooker out of Oakland, who is also really a good player. 4 homers already on the season, 3,400. So you can get cheap in Oakland tomorrow. As much as I say Suarez could get you some value, I'm telling you the truth. I think Oakland might be a decent middle bottom order stack. So yeah, I like it, Tone. I like where you're at with FFVP today.
Yeah, man. Oakland's one of those teams you can get a lot of value for very, very, again, not only low money, but very low ownership. I can guarantee you that. Dave, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, going to be a good day. A lot of, we're starting to get to those Mondays that are kind of medium stacked, but you got 4 games at 6 o'clock too. So you can get into that slate, have some fun. Lodolo looks like a guy that should bounce back nicely from, his first rough start of the season. But looking at him, he's lighting up 441 batting average, balls in play. I mean, come on. I mean, that should be closer to 290. So he's really hit some unlucky terms so far in the season. So a lot going on. If you hit the early slate, look at Lodolo, but we give you what we think at the main slate. And I think it's going to be a good day for us again.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. And as always, make sure you give us a follow at Win Daily Sports. Make sure you're jumping in at Discord because, as always, anything can change, especially on a Monday, whether it be weather, whether it be lineup adjustments. We'll be there to help you pivot like we always do to make sure you get the right thing. That King of Smack, he says, think Brito gets roughed up. Listen, that's why I'm in on Joey Gallo, man. I think definitely gets roughed up. I think Minnesota got a lot of good bats. I was in on Miranda today. I think he's a good play. I do like to get different with that Minnesota team because Brito just gives up runs, man. I'm sorry, runs and hits, in my opinion. So I know look, he says. Dave said that about Suarez could have some value, man. So Dave's in on that. Dave's in on him as well. And again, this is a guy nobody's gonna be looking at, right? Think about this. Nobody's looking at Suarez. Nobody's looking at the Oakland A's. Nobody's looking at the Minnesota Twins. Nobody's looking at them. They're all going to get in on those top tier guys. So that's the way you get different, as always, and the way to cash. So as always, for Tony, for Dave, we're gonna get out of here. Again, hopefully you do well. Get into Discord. We'll be dropping home run props, our FFVPs as well. Like we always say here, everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll catch you back here next time.